chapter, um, Karma Yoga and Karma Yoga action in Krishna consciousness. We'll be doing verse number 23 and 24 today. So before that, let us take the blessings of the deities. Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, Gaurangi Bangaloreshwara, Lakshmi Narasimha, the Giri Govardhan, Saligramji, Nitai Gaur, the Chat Goswami, and Guru Parampara. We'll do our prayers. Om Gyana Tirmandasya Gyananjaya Shalakaya Chakshuyan Militamena Tashmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namo Bhishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swarupam Kadapa Mayam Datati Swapadikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. Before I start the class, there's a request after we finish chanting, and I'll be doing two, as usual, reading from the Bhagavatam here and there, and I'll be looking into two Ayati and Amrish Maharaj. So I would like you to tell me your realization at the end of the class. I just did this chapter in another reading class with Padma Narayan Prabhu, and when of course we cannot cover up the whole chapter. So when somebody else is reading, you come across many things. So if we have time permits, we will. I would like you all to share some of your things. Before the class, I would also like to share one of realization. Just yesterday morning, my puja room window overlooks a school and a clubhouse balcony and a swimming pool. And from last 2-3 months, there's the sport practice in the school has been going. I don't know why this morning, yesterday morning, after, I stood near the window gazing, and the children were rehearsing for the sports day. Red, blue, yellow sports uniform, march pass. Hey, I was in school, same march pass. We wanted to grow up fast. I wish those days. Well, in the evening, I did the same thing after Aarti. I stood at the window again, gazing at the clubhouse. And there was a youngster party taking place, that loud music, peppy music, till it was English and the latest Hindi songs, it did not bother me. Then what happened? Kis disco mein jaye, kis hotel mein khaye, chalo kahin ghoom ke aaye, hum chalo kahin ishq ladaye, kahin ishq ladaye. It got me. I mean, I won't lie. I started sort of trying to catch up with the tune. Boys and girls were freely mingling, off-shoulder clothes, short dresses. Some swayed to the music. Some had drinks in the hand. And this is life, is it? I just gazed. I was just gazing. Have I been a tree standing in the hot, cold weather, unable even to move? A small fish in the aquarium, then maybe in a pond. I said, no, in a lake, an ocean, 9 lakh species of aquatic life. The song had me humming again. Material life, a victim of activities for sense gratification, such as eating in the restaurant, indulging in illicit connection with women, then losing control of the senses. He becomes just like an animal, engaged from early morning until night in dangerous activities. Results of such thoughtless work is further material bondage. A rare gift, the human form. What a waste, I thought. Now, what would our gurus and shastras say to this song? I was just wondering. No intoxication, no going to the disco, dance in the temple, okay? किस disco में? No. चलो मंदिर में चलते हैं, वहाँ disco करते हैं, हरे कृष्णा के गीत में हम dance करते हैं. Hotel चले? No hotel, no meat eating, only prasadam, only temple, devotees home, No chewing the chewed. घूमने जाए. Are you not tired of rotating 84 lakh species of life? Still want to घूमो फाई? Yes, घूमते रहो. घूमते रहो. Man, chant. Men chant. There is no other way. Chalo, chalo, ishq ladaye. Wow. No. No illicit sex. Disciplined sex life is marriage. Even animals have certain time period, heat period. Not chalo ishq ladaye. No, no, no illicit sex. Chalo, uh, first you have what is it? The Brahmin life. Then you have the Grasta life, Vanaprastha life. Then you have the sannyasi life. Chalo, uska palan kare. Well, the contrast is very clear, isn't it? It is the material life and the spiritual life. Any comments? I mean, it was just yesterday, and then my Prabhu said, "What are you doing? How long are you going to stand near the window?" So, Mataji's and Prabhuji's, any comments? Okay. Material sense gratification is based on two organs, namely the tongue for tasting and the genitals for sex life. All men are forced to act helplessly according to the impulses born of the modes of material nature. No one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. As such, the spirit soul has to be in good work of Krishna consciousness. Whatever he is able to do is good for him. Permanent happiness cannot be found in the world, either on the earthly planets or in the heavenly planets. Both on earth and heaven, the living entity is harassed by envy and rivalry of others. Therefore, any person who seriously desires to find permanent relief from suffering of material existence should take shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. Pigeons, for example, are given facility for almost unlimited sex. Bears have an ample opportunity for sleeping. Tigers and lions exhibit propensity for fighting and meat eating. Horses are distinguished by their legs for swift running. Vultures and eagles have eyesight, keen eyesight, and so the human being is distinguished by his large brain, which is meant for understanding God. All problems in society, you see, they all have their roots in the three bad qualities that Lord Krishna discusses in the Gita. Tri, trividham, trividham narkashayedam dvaram nashayanam atmanaha kama krodha tataha lobha tashmet itaha trayam tayajati. Three enemies you have to give up if your mind has to be clean: lust, anger, and greed. Lust means adamant desire for prohibited things like smoking, cigarette, drinking, liquor, and extramarital affair. So now let's read the. We'll Krishna spoke how a self realized person tolerates the urges of senses. Then, what is the initiative for tolerating these sense pleasures? So, let's try and explore that. Verse number 23. शक्नोति एवं यः शोधं प्राक शरीर विमोक्षण काम क्रोध bhavam vegam saha yukta saha sukhi naraha. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of material sense and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. I'll read the purport also, since it is a small purport. If one wants to make steady progress on the path of self realization, he must try to control the forces of material senses. There are the forces of talk, forces of anger, forces of mind, forces of stomach, forces of genitals, the forces of the tongue. One who is able to control the forces of all these different senses and the mind is called Goswami or Swami. Such Goswami lives strictly controlled life and forego altogether the forces of senses. Material desire, when unsatiated, generate anger, and thus the mind, eyes, and chest becomes agitated. Therefore, one must practice to control them before one gives up this material body. One can do this is sorry, one who can do this is understood to be self-controlled and is thus happy in the state of self-realization. It is the duty of the transcendentalist to try strenuously to control desire and anger. Park. Before what? Sharira vimokshanaha. Before giving up the body. If someone can, sorry, Saknoshi Yaha Shodam. If someone can liberate, can tolerate the urges of what? Material desire, the material sense, and check. Check what? Kama, Krodha, Bhavam, Vegam. Urges of anger, desire. Such a person is Saha Yukta, Sukhena, is happy in this world. Inevitable result of material sense gratification is disappointment and pain that sears the heart. One becomes gradually hopeless and despondent in material life. Then, receiving good instructions from the Lord or his devotees, one transforms one's disappointment into spiritual success. Human beings who act like animals with the idea that one should not feel any guilt but should do whatever one likes will certainly take birth as animal absorbed in ignorance. By refraining from such a particular sinful or materialistic activities, one becomes freed from his bondage. Such renunciation is the basis of religion, and such renunciation is the basis of religion and auspicious life for human beings, and drives away all suffering, illusion, and fear. Renunciation is the basic principle sustaining the lives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees. विषयो गुणः ध्यायस्ता पुंसा संग ततो भावेत संगत तत्र भावेत काम कामद एव कलील निरम. One who accepts material sense objects as desirable certainly becomes attached to them. From such attachment, lust arises, and this lust creates quarrel among men. The actual goal of human life should not be material sense gratification, for it is the basis of conflict in human society. Although the Vedic literature sometimes sanctions sense gratification, the ultimate purpose of Veda is renunciation, since Vedic culture cannot possibly recommend anything that disturbs human life. A lusty person is easily angered and becomes immovable to anyone frustrating his lusty desires. Since his sex desires can never be satisfied, a lusty person ultimately becomes frustrated with his own sex partner, and thus a love hate relationship develops. A lusty person considers himself to be the enjoyer of God's creation and is therefore full of pride and false prestige. The lusty, proud person will not be attracted to the process of humble submission at the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master. Attraction to illicit sex is thus the direct enemy of Krishna consciousness, which depends on humble submission to the representative of the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna also states in the Bhagavad Gita that desire for illicit sex is the all devouring sinful enemy of this world. One who is too affectionate to his own body will inevitably be seized by sex desires. From quarrel arises intolerable anger, followed by darkness of ignorance. This ignorance quickly overtakes a man's broad intelligence. The desire for material association arises from one's propensity to deny that everything is God energy. By sexual association with women, a man is driven to enjoy the female form again and again. And indeed, he remains lusty up to the moment of death. Similarly, through association with family and friends, the knot of material attachment becomes very tight. Thus, the reaction of fruitive work binds one more and more in the cycle of material defeat. But a learned person, one who is in touch with the Supreme Lord, within his heart, realizes the ultimate frustration of material work and the danger of entering the womb of a pig or a dog in future life as a result of sinful activities. One on the platform of self realization does not regard himself as the enjoyer of the world. Rather, he regards the entire cosmic as simply as insignificant expansion of the Lord's potency and himself as the Lord's humble servant. My Guru Maharaj says devotees should keep out of becoming angry, bitter, in illusion, or overly materially attached. The devotees, however, remain tolerant, fixing their determination in the mode of goodness, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami in Upadeshaha Amrita. Vacha Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jivaha Vegam, Udharo Pastaha Vegam, Itna Vegam, So Visheshetah Dhiraha, Sarva Apimama Prithvivam Saha Shishyata. A sober person who can tolerate the urges to speak, the mind's demand, the action of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Krishna has been speaking about the pleasures a person gets spiritually when he attains higher states of Krishna consciousness. So he continues the same in the verse number 24. I'll just read the verse. Krishna. सह यो अंतः सुख अंतर अरामस अंत तथा तथा अंतर ज्योतिरेव यः स योगी ब्रह्म निर्वाणम ब्रह्मभूत अधिगच्छति. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. I'll also read the purport since it's a very small purport. Unless one is able to relish happiness from within, how can one retire from the external engagement meant for deriving superficial happiness? A liberated person enjoys happiness by factually experience. One can therefore sit silently at any place and enjoy the activities of life from within. Such a liberated person no longer desires external material happiness. This is called Brahma Bhuta, attaining which one is assured of going back to God and back to home. Now, the shloka starts with O, one who, Antasukha, whose happiness is within, Antara, Arama, one who is active, one who rejoices within, Tatha Antara, Antara Jyotira Evaya, one who is aiming inwards, and Sahayogi, such a person is perfect yogi. Brahma Nirmanama, liberated in the Supreme. Brahma Bhuta Adigochati. Such a person attains the supreme destination. On the material platform, he is still relishing, but also attaining the supreme destination from within. It's such a win-win situation. Now, in the Bhagavatam, we have so many examples, and we see from the life of so many devotees, how happy they are within. I mean, you're in the material world, like we, as I've often repeated, we see Guru Maharaj with his material condition also. He's so blissful. So in the same way, you can see Bhishma Pitama. He was lying on the bed of arrows, and I know he was not crying, moaning. You know, he was so peaceful. In fact, he recited the Vishnu Shastranam, and he even gave advice to Yudhishthira. You had Parashit Maharaj. He knew that he's going to die in 7 days. But he was not craving that I'm leaving behind such a big kingdom, my wealth, my family. This He was so peaceful for 7 days without eating, no hunger, no thirst. He was listening to Sukdev Goswami. Sukdev Swami is in so much of bliss. Prahlad Maharaj, Haridas Thakur, the six Goswami. The list is endless. Since we cannot discuss all of them, I would like to discuss the life of Yayati and Amrish Maharaj with Dhruv Maharaj. So just a minute. Sage Sukracharya's daughter named Devyani had a girlfriend named Samashitaha, who was the daughter of the king Vyasa Parvaha. Once, Samshita was sporting the water with thousands of friends, and Devyani was also there. When the young girls saw Lord Shiva seated on the bull with Uma, they immediately dressed themselves. But Shamshita mistakenly put on Devyani's clothes. Devyani became very angry, rebuked Shamshita, and also became very angry and responded by rebuking Devyani and throwing her in the well. By chance, King Yayati came to that well to drink water, and he found Devyani and rescued her. Thus, Devyani accepted Maharaj Yayati as a husband. Shukracharya was very angry and wanted to chastise King Vyasa Parvaha, Shamshista's father. Vyasa however, satisfied Shukracharya by offering Sarmista as Devyani's maid servant. Thus, Shashmita, as the maid servant of Devyani, also went to the house of Devyani's husband. When Shashmita found that her friend Devyani had a son, she also desired to have a son. Therefore, at the proper time of conception, she also requested King Yayati for sex. When Shashmita became pregnant, also Devyani became very envious, and in great anger, she immediately left for the father's house and told the father everything. Shukracharya again became angry and cursed Maharaja Yayati to become old. Yayati begged Shukracharya to be merciful to him. Shukracharya gave him the benediction that he could transfer his old age and invalidity to some young man Yayati changed his old age for the youth of his youngest son, Puru, and thus he was able to enjoy with younger girls. Imagine a father asking his son, his youth, to enjoy sexual desires. Material desire is just like a blazing fire. If fire is continuously supplied with drops of fat, the fat fire will increase more and more and never be extinguished. Therefore, the policy of trying to satisfy material desires by catering to one's material demands will never be successful. There is no end of material desires for the engagement in life, in this life or the next life. A person who is lusty cannot satisfy his mind, even if he has enough of everything in the world, including rice, barley, and other food grains, gold, animals, and women. Nothing can satisfy him. Having enjoyed sense gratification for many, many years, O King Parishit, Yayati was accustomed to it. But he gave it up entirely in a moment, just as a bird flies away from the nest as soon as the wings have grown. Maharaj, Maharaj Yayati was immediately liberated from the bondage of conditional life is certainly astonishing. If one fully surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is immediately liberated from the bondage of conditional life as promised by the Lord Himself. Aham Tvam Sarva Papeno Mokshami, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4. No, this is in the Bhagavad Gita. Sorry. Now we look into the life of another uh, devotee, Amrish Maharaj, and Maharaja Amrish was the emperor of the entire world, but he considered his opulence temporary. Indeed, knowing that but he considered his opulence temporary. Indeed, knowing that such material opulence is the cause of downfall into conditional life, he was unattached to his opulence. He engaged his senses and minds in the service of the Lord. This process is called Yukta Vairagya, or feasible renunciation, which is quite suitable for worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Maharaja Amrish, as the emperor, was immensely opulent. He performed devotional service with great opulence, and therefore, despite his wealth, he had no attachment for his wife, children, or kingdom. He constantly engaged his senses and mind in the service of the Lord. Therefore, to say nothing of enjoying material opulence, he never desired even liberation. Observing the vow of Dwadasi, on Dwadasi, the day after Ekadashi, he was about to break the Ekadashi fast. The great mystic Durvasa Muni appeared in his house and became his guest. King Amrisha respectfully received Dwasamuni, and Dwasamuni, after accepting his invitation to eat there, went to bathe in the Yamuna at noon. Maharaj Amrish, however, upon seeing the time to break the fast was passing, drank a little water in accordance with the advice of learned Brahmanas. Dwajra Muni could understand that this had happened and he became very angry. He began to chastise Maharaja Ambrish, but he was not satisfied. And finally, he created a hair from his hair, a demon appearing like the fire of death. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, is always protector of his devotee, and to protect Maharaj Amrish, he sent his disc, the Sudarshan Chakra, which immediately vanished the fiery demon and then persuaded Durvasa, who was so envious of Maharaja Amrish. Durvasa fled to Brahmaloka, Shivaloka, and all the higher planets, but he could not protect him. But he could not protect himself from the wrath of the Sudarshana Chakra. Finally, he went to the spiritual world and surrendered to Lord Narayan. But Lord Narayan could not excuse a person who had offended a Vaishnava. To be excused from such an offender, one must submit to the Vaishnava whom he has offended. There is no way to be excused. Thus, Lord Narayan advised Durvasa Muni to return to Maharaj Ambrish to beg his pardon. The pure devotee is actually equal towards everyone, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma bhuta prasanna atma na sochati na kamshati samaha sarveshu bhuteshu. Universal, universal brotherhood is possible when one is a pure devotee. Panditaha sama darshani. A pure devotee is actually a learned because he knows his constitutional position. He knows the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he knows the relation between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. Thus, he is full of spiritual knowledge and is automatically liberated. Brahma Bhuta. He can therefore see everyone on the spiritual platform. People suffer from material distress because they are not attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure devotee's chief concern, therefore, is to raise the ignorant mass of people to the senses of Krishna consciousness. Even such a great Brahman and a mystic yogi as Durvasa Muni was in the most dangerous situation because of offense to the lotus feet of Maharaja Amrish. For a Brahman, austerity and learning are certainly auspicious. But when acquired by a person who is not gentle, such austerity and learning are the most dangerous. It is said that the jewel is very valuable, but when it is on the head of a serpent, it is dangerous despite its value. Similarly, when the materialistic non devotee achieves great success in learning and austerity, that success is dangerous for all the society. A serpent with a jewel on the head is as dangerous as a serpent without such a jewel. Durvasa Muni was a very learned Brahmin, equipped with mystic power, but because he was not a gentleman, he did not know how to use his power. He was therefore extremely dangerous. The ears and the tongues can bind you to the material world, Graham Katha, or to the spiritual world, Krishna Katha. Anger comes from frustration, lust. Krishna connects lust and anger. When desire is fulfilled, ego increases. When desire is blocked, anger appears. Therefore, anger is the child of lust. When the king offered prayers to the Sudarshana Chakra, the Lord Vishnu, because of his prayers, the Sudarshana Chakra became peaceful and stopped burning the Brahman known as Dwasa Muni. Expecting the return of Dwasa Muni, the king had not taken his food. Therefore, the sage returned. The king fell at the lotus feet, pleasing him in all respect and fed him sumptuously. Amrish Maharaj had not eaten anything for the entire 1 year, just sustaining himself, drinking water. Dwasa Muni said, I am very pleased with you. My dear king, at first I thought of you as an ordinary human being and accepted your hospitality. But later I could understand my own intelligence that you are the most exalted devotee of the Lord. Therefore, simply by seeing you, touching your feet, and talking to you, I have been pleased and become obliged to you. Dwada- Dwadasha Muni says, I am pleased. I'm pleased with you. Then he says, I'm obliged to you. Any comments? Okay, let's do it afterwards. Dwasha Muni, he was on the wrong side. Still, he had an upper hand, puffed up. He's the yogi, and Amrish Maharaj stood with the hand folded. Then he said, I am obliged. External happiness is always ends. Internal happiness never ends. Srila Prabhupada explains that lust, karma, and anger, krodh, are the greatest enemy. Lust is all devouring, sinful enemy. Material desires become bondage. Spiritual desire brings liberation. Material pleasures is like water on a hot stone. Spiritual happiness is like an ever flowing river. Krishna says that before leaving this body, one must learn and tolerate the urges of lust and anger. Yayati tried the opposite. He thought he could be finished, he could be finished by by fully, he, he He thought he could be happy by fulfilling his desires. After thousands of years of enjoyment, he discovered that desires only became stronger. Sense enjoyment does not conquer lust. Self control in devotional service conquers lust. When he renounced a material enjoyment and fixed his consciousness on the Lord, he experienced a higher happiness, the joy no longer dependent on youth, wealth, or sensual pleasures. This is the meaning of Antasukha, finding happiness in Krishna consciousness. Just as a child, just as cold, fever, and darkness are eradicated for one who has approached the sacrificial fire, so dullness, fear, and ignorance are destroyed for one engaged in serving the devotees of the Lord. This material world is full of danger that one has to meet. But a devotee, because of his full dependency on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is never disturbed. Dwasa Muni was convinced of the power of Bhakti Yoga, although he was a great mystic yoga. A devotee does not give such value to the highest standard of happiness, which in this world, in this which within this world. You don't need to be initiated to chant, could chant anyway, walking, sitting, feeling, sleeping. Not other mantras, yagnas cannot be chanted without initiation. After many, many births and deaths, one achieves this rare human form of life, which, although temporary, gives us the opportunity to attain Krishna's consciousness. Sense gratification is available in the most abominable species of life also. Krishna consciousness is only possible in the human life. So let's all chant and make use of this large brain we have. Let us all chant 3 times. Hari, you can unmute and
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare,
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Rama,
Ram
Rama,
Rama
Ram
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram
Krishna,
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna
Rama Rama,
Rama
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare,
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji
Krishna
and
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna
for giving
Krishna
me
Hare
this
Hare
opportunity.
Ram Ram
Thank
Ram
you,
Hare
Mataji. Hare
Hare.
Krishna.
Sorry, Mataji and Prabhuji, today what did you take home from Amrish Maharaj and Dwadsa Muni and Yati's pastime?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I really like the depth of the class, Mataji. The examples that you gave about Antar Sukha, inner bliss. It's not about external bliss, uh, not material sense gratification, but spiritual sense gratification.
Prabhu, when I was doing this class with Padmanarayan Prabhu, he says, we had a discussion for almost half an hour. See, Amrish Maharaj, 1 year he stood by the door, folded hands, waiting for him to come. And when he came, he fed him, and he was not rude to him. He was so calm. And even when Dwasha Muni came, he says, "I'm pleased with you." Are? You're on the wrong side. You were the person who were harming him. You should be asking him pardon. After eating, after feeling nice, yes, when he goes back to Brahma Loka, there he tells them that, you should be a devotee. He's not willing to, to say that, okay, pardon me. He is still keeping his foot up and he says, I'm pleased with you. After eating, then he says, I'm obliged with you. So that is exactly what we human beings do. Like when we have a quarrel, acha ho gaya, chhod do. It is so difficult for human beings to accept that we are on the wrong side anytime and say, okay, I've done this. How can I've displeased you, Prabhu? I'm sorry, or what can I do? I mean, we had literally spoken on this point for half an hour. I do not know how if it came across to you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So thank you, Prabhuji and Matajis, for having given me this opportunity. So we can close the class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, all devotees. Dandat pranam to all.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna Mataji.
Mataji.
Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Dharma
Thank you,
Pranam
Thank you.
Mataji.
Mataji.
Dandavat
Krishna.
pranam. Pranam to everybody.